You watch the shows because ABG knows the ebbs and flows is how this ish goes. Yes, yes. Welcome. Week 4, week 3.5. We label it week 4, and that's what we're getting ready for. Halftime adjustments. Welcome, everybody. If you're here, stop in, say hello, like, love, leave a comment. We're going to do another random. You're watching Answers with Guests, week 4, live Q&A. We got the inside scoop from outside the box. If it's your first time joining us, welcome. Got a lot to unwrap this week. As I said in my little poem, a little rap, a little ditty in the beginning, you're here because we know the ebbs and flows is how fantasy goes. Like us, follow us on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Patreon. Use the hashtags Answers by Guests, hashtag ABGFF. If you didn't hear me the first time, like and follow us on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Patreon. Use those hashtags. Get ready for the rundown. Every Tuesday, we're going to fly through, switch it up each week. Green Bay, Tampa Bay, Dubs. He's the answer with no Watkins. Watkins made of glass. Who would it be? It's him. Gage was the answer, but not when the boys come back. I said Scotty Miller because Gage is somebody that we knew. Scotty Miller did nothing. Sorry if you used him, but I thought he'd be a little more involved. But it doesn't matter anyways. All those guys are worthless once everybody comes back. Detroit, Minnesota, Scoop Jamal. He's waiver wire pickup number 2 or 3. I mean, these top 3 guys on the list, if you pay any attention at all, it's not going to be news to you. Here at Answers by Guests. I mean, I'm going to talk about this once we get into stuff, but I mean, I shouldn't have to tell you these 3 names, but you're Scoop and Jamal. Swift is going to be out at least a couple weeks, I'd imagine. They haven't confirmed anything. Would not go nuts with Reynolds every single week. Somebody pops up out of nowhere. He wasn't really out of nowhere. We liked him last year because of his connection with Goff. He had a big game. Don't go crazy with him. Scoop Madison, he's waiver wire pickup number 3 of 3. We called Thielen. We called Cook. Now Cook's hurt, though. Jefferson is a bit of a worry. You see why I didn't like Kirk. Everybody was on the Kirk train. Rob was on the Kirk train. I was not on the Kirk train. This week I might be on the Kirk train, though. Baltimore, New England. Hill looks the best. Justice Hill looks the best. It was Dobbins' first game back. Hill was somebody I liked 2 years ago when he was a rookie. Could never get burned. Then last year couldn't stay healthy, couldn't get healthy. Dobbins will take over. Bill gave the treatment to Bateman. I thought it would be he'd give the treatment to Andrews, but I guess he just stuck with giving his treatment to a wide receiver. Andrews had a game, and Stevenson finally. That's why we don't cut bait, as I said in the beginning. We talk about the ebbs and flows. I was listening to the radio yesterday, I think it might have been, and somebody used the term ebbs and flows. I swear, I know it's a common term. I've never heard anybody say it in fantasy, and these are like the biggest guys in the business. And they said ebbs and flows. They have no clue who we are. We're just 2 dudes in the basement, so it doesn't really matter. But that's what it's all about, because some guys that you picked up are going to struggle, just like they did weeks 1 and 2. And they're going to have a big game. You dropped them because you got angry. And now you're upset. Now you got to pick them back up. Probably won't get that lucky. You got to stick with them. And another thing, since I'm talking about the first 3 weeks, if you go back and look at the first 3 weeks of last season, the season before, there's probably some names in there of players who you'd look back and you'd laugh. You go, oh my God, I remember I picked them up. Or, oh my God, I remember I thought he was going to be great. And he wound up being nothing. And then all the studs, all the guys that you loved in the preseason and before the draft or after the draft showed up and had their big seasons. So you got to stick with it. Baltimore, New England, Parker. See, Myers being out, he blew up our take. We thought he was a real problem. But listen, the Bolt secondary just stinks. So from this point forward, until they show that they can fix it, because now it's 3 games, we are attacking the Baltimore secondary. We're looking at who Baltimore is playing, and if we have something to toss up, we're throwing in the player, wide receiver going against that Baltimore secondary because they're terrible. New Orleans, Carolina. The Olave breakout came. I said I had a feeling it was either going to be this week or maybe a week ahead. It'll be next week. It was this week. Kamara's in trouble. CMC owns the fourth quarter. Every single game, he does nothing in the fourth quarter. He just blows up. So good if you own him. And Chenault finally got out of the field, broke a big one. Hopefully we get to see more of him. He's a sneaky pickup. You could probably get him for free. You can probably wait till waivers clear. If you got an empty deep spot on your bench, Laviska Chenault might be worth a pickup. Houston, Chicago, Pierce breakout game. We called it. Cooks was shut down, so that sucks. Scoop Herbert, he's pickup number 1 out of 3 with the Bears. Ugh. You know, I want to go back to this. Last year, we picked on the Bears, we picked on Nagy, we picked on Fields, and rightly so. And we blamed them a lot for Allen Robinson. But is it possible Allen Robinson just stinks? Man, he still stinks. KC, Indy, I told you, I had a feeling Indy was going to win that game. I called it on Saturday in the recorded shows and the live show. I just had a feeling Indy was going to win because that's the NFL. And Pierce is greater than Doolin, as he should be. Philly, Washington, Devonta came through again 2 weeks in a row. I called him Terry as well, and Wentz is the absolute worst. Buffalo, Miami, low scoring like we thought. McKenzie had a nice game. Tua was hurt, everybody knows. Cincy and the Jets, said we had a feeling about Boyd. He was the biggest one. Carter Hall was about even. Hall got a ton of receptions. Zoma went down, and I think Conklin's worth a scoop. I thought it last week, but then we heard Zoma was going to come back, and we're like, here we go. But he got hurt. He's older and he stinks. So Conklin, if you need a tight end. Vegas, Tennessee, don't go crazy with Matt Collins. Same sort of thing that we just said with Josh Reynolds. You know, Renfro was out. The coverage in Tennessee, they were more worried about Devontae Adams. Don't go crazy with Matt Collins. Called the Henry big game. Burks was disappointing to some. I didn't like him going into preseason, but I was starting to get the feeling maybe he's going to do something, but it was disappointing. The Vegas secondary isn't very good. I was a little surprised. My boy, J-Rob, not worried about ETN. Ingram disappoints. And all the Chargers, throw them in the trash can. But put a glove on because you're going to take them back out. They all stunk it up for the most part. Palmer was okay. Eckler got a bunch of receptions. And they just got ransacked. Jacksonville looks like they're for real. Trevor Lawrence, he's at the top of last year's rookie quarterbacks at this point. Atlanta, Seattle, Patterson, did they even try and stop him? If you watch highlights of that game, it was like anytime the ball was near him or not near him, it's like nobody was ever even near him. And it was just kind of ridiculous. Pitts bounce back. We called. Metcalf would bounce back. We called it. Penny still holding on to number 1. Akers greater than Henderson, like we said. Hollywood with a huge one. It was a little bit my bad, but Arizona's still in trouble. They're still in trouble. Maybe D-Hop will be the one that fixes it. This game is pretty much as advertised. Gosh. Oh, my gosh. I don't want to get going too long because I see we got a bunch of comments. I haven't even looked at them yet, so my bad. I want to get through this rundown. Almost there for the Sunday night game. Most of us probably watched this game more so than the day games because we got apple picking and all our nonsense going on. Denver. Like, I'm watching the game, and I know the exact play they're going to run. They're going to run it on first down. They're going to run it on second down, and they're going to have to throw it on third down. It's like I can't like put a parallel to anything, but it's like me playing Madden. Like if I'm playing Madden against somebody, and I haven't been able to play in years since my kids were born, and they just keep running on first down, and then I know they're going to run on second down. It becomes super easy to stop. I'm watching it. Javonte runs right into the pile, can't get anything going against the San Francisco defense. And I'm like, okay, second down, throw the ball, play action, something. No, just run it right up the middle again, and then a terrible throw. Russ Wilson looks terrible. I'm nervous. Nobody's a bigger Javonte fan than me. I'm not nervous about him. I'm nervous about just this team as a whole scoring points. Their defense is good enough to allow them to just slug through games like they have been. And Rush stayed strong in the Monday night game. Brown looks good. Bellinger is a scoop if you need him. And goodbye, Shep. Go hang with Watkins. Maybe bring Galladay with you. You're all a bunch of bums. Questions from the group. Brasha Hug asked me a question, not fantasy related. He said, who are you picking between New Orleans and Minnesota? So he wants to go with Minnesota, but he doesn't trust Cousins on the road. Everybody's on the road in this one, but I get it, especially in England. I actually like Minnesota in this one. I think it's going to be, Rob and I, we have this conspiracy theory that where the England games, they like to allow the offenses to do a little more. So I do think Justin Jefferson, can get it going. And, they got a pretty good secondary in New Orleans. He's going to have the toughest matchup out of all the wide receivers for sure. But I feel like they're still tougher to run on. We've seen Madison just go bonkers when Cook's out. Cooks is in fact out. I think Kene Nwangwu, my dude, was going to get some burn in this. But I do think that Minnesota, if I had to take them, I think the line's 2.5. I'm not sure if that's what you're going after betting. I would buy the half point. I never leave that hook out there. It doesn't matter if it's 3.5, 9.5, 15.5, 1.5. It doesn't matter if it's the favorite or the underdog. I'm buying a half a point because that way I know I could at least push. If I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose. What's another 10% on top? So it's 2.5. I buy it down to 2, -2, and keep my fingers crossed. Listen, I'm very nervous about Kamara with this team. Winston does not throw to the running backs. It's hurting Kamara. That's Kamara's best fantasy asset is catching passes. So they're not utilizing him. You got a banged up Michael Thomas, a banged up Landry. So you got Olave, Taysom Hill. He'll probably play. They'll maybe throw a gadget in for him. Juwan Johnson disappeared last game. Troutman's done nothing. I just feel like Minnesota altogether has more weapons. We called the Thielen last week. Wouldn't be surprised if Thielen has a good game again this week. We've seen this sort of thing with Thielen where maybe a couple games slow, then he's going to blow up for about a four-game stretch, then he's going to disappear into the wilderness. So that's kind of what I feel like might happen with him. But I'm going to go with Minnesota with this one. It's a Tuesday night. My feelings could change when we do the maybe recorded shows. Surprise. I think this week Rob and I are going to go old school and just do the games and the questions all at once because it's the early Sunday morning game. So we might be doing like a late Saturday night show where we just go live with everything. We still got to figure it out in our schedule. But I'm going to go with Minnesota, and I think JJ can get it going. And I think he gets it going this week because England, the NFL wants England to see a bunch of wins. Antonio asked the Ravens or the Bills defense. Well, I just talked about the terrible secondary of Baltimore. I'm just looking here. I just want to make sure. But the Bills defense, they were out all of their cornerbacks last week. And, they kind of held, for the most part, Miami's wide receivers in check. This game being in Baltimore. I know, and it says you have Lamar. I would look for someone else. If there's another defense out there, Antonio, when we get to the comments, maybe you could tell me who else is out there, and we'll take a look at that. I would look for somebody else because really the way Buffalo lost last week, I don't want them. I don't want to take the Ravens defense because I think their offense is going to come out angry. And I don't want to play the Bills defense because I don't want to go against Lamar, especially if my QB. It's like kissing my sister. I'm going to gain points. I'm going to lose points. What's the point? Nothing. So I'm going to look for somebody else, and there's probably somebody else out there that would be more beneficial to you. Lazard, Woods, or Samuel was his question. Samuel going against the Cowboys. Lazard going against, you got him against the Patriots. I knew that. Woods, that's what I can't find. Tennessee against the Colts. I'll go Samuel for now, but Lazard is really close. Antonio, and maybe if Rob checks us out after, we'll add that video to our live show if we end up doing it Saturday or whatever we're going to do. We got to do something because we got a game 9 a.m. or whatever. So we're not going to be doing our show at 7 a.m. Josue said a guy wants to trade him Olave, Kamara, and CMC for Sanders and Jones. He was leaning towards no, but the timeshare for Aaron Jones is making him frustrated. Just so you know, his roster: Diggs, Waddle, Gabe, Jacoby Myers, Jones, Sanders. He's got the 49er running backs: Walker, Herbert, and Brian Robinson. I'm not trading. I'm not making that trade, Josue. I cannot get rid of Jones and Sanders for Kamara. I'm just not trusting Kamara because, like I said, Winston just doesn't throw to his running backs enough. He doesn't throw to them enough. He's always looking to chuck it downfield. So I can't do it because you're losing too much depth. I mean, you got Wilson, Mitchell. Mitchell's hurt. Wilson is just waiting to get hurt. Walker is not the starter. Herbert's going to be the starter. Could be the rest of the season. Montgomery could be out the rest of the season. That injury looked bad. And who knows if Robinson even comes back week 5. Can't do it. You can't give away because you don't really need. Like, I like that you're getting Olave. You're getting CMC. I thought you were getting 2 wide receivers. It changes things. Misread that. I don't like the Kamara thing. But if you're getting CMC, I misread that. For some reason, I felt like you were getting 2 wide receivers. My bad. We'll come back to that. Unless you got an answer tonight. If the bye weeks work, I might. Because I would drop Jacoby. I'm just not. I mean, Zappy could be good, but if they're going to use Hoyer, I don't know. Let's go to your questions live. We'll double back. So I want to keep everybody waiting. You all have been here for 17 minutes and 30 seconds. Alan, what's up? Chad, what's up? How about them Giants? I don't know. Because Kenny Galladay, that's why. Because I don't know. He stinks. Thought it was at 8. It was supposed to be at 9. Then I put out a post and I said, I'm ready to go. I got to go upstairs and watch the next episode of Dahmer. I'm a little behind the rest of the world, but I'm into it. I like serial killer drama, stuff like that, true stories. And I'm on like episode 4. So don't you dare ruin it for me. I said, you know what? I'm just sitting here. Let's get the show going. I got my little rhyme ready to spit. So I'm glad you're here. You got a Dilemma $100 league. You got Eckler, Barkley, Chubb, Pierce. Crazy to start Pierce over any of these 3. It's honestly too soon for me to say. I'm just going to look at who Houston is playing. They're playing the Chargers. I think as of right now, because I think that I think you would have to do Eckler over him, and I just don't think the way Barkley looks and the way Chubb looks, especially against the Falcons, and then the Giants are playing the Bears. Yeah, no, you can't do Pierce. You got to do the other 3 on a Tuesday night. McLaurin, Gallup, Lockett, or Davis this week. I'm not trusting Gallup. Not in his first game back if he comes back. I'm gonna keep it going with McLaurin. I don't like Wentz, but I do think he's their best. So as of right now, unless that's Gabe Davis, which probably it is, I might just go with Gabe Davis against Baltimore secondary because they're terrible. It's between those 2. We'll see how we feel later in the week. Ask that question again, Alan. I know you'll be watching. Damian Pierce, Javonte, or Dylan. You got so many questions to start sit Tuesday night. Remember, my mind's going to change. But Alan, luckily you're up to date. You stick with us. You comment. You react, and you're always involved with what we're doing here. So I know that you'll be watching whether we do it Saturday or Sunday at 7. But I think just sort of looking. I don't think that I can sit Javonte. The Patriots against Dylan. As of right now, I'm going to go Javonte. it's tough, but they're going against the Raiders, and I don't think the Raiders are very good, especially on defense. So I'm going to go with Javonte. Brees Hall or A.J. Dillon. Is Wilson going to come back this week? We're going against Pittsburgh. I might go with A.J. in this one. I know Brees Hall got more points, got more burn last week. He was about a 60-40, maybe a 55-45 with Carter last week. Got a ton of receptions. Going against the Steelers, Trubisky regressed from week 1 to week 2, from week 2 to week 3. And the Jets defense might be just good enough to slow them down as of right now. Right now, I'm going to go Dillon. Robinson, Ayuk, Stevenson, Olave, Palmer, Duvernay, start 1, 2 flex. Out of all those, I'm going to go with Olave. Keep it going. We just talked about how they want points in London, England, wherever in England it is, if it's not London. And 2 flex, I'm going to stick. Steven's going to be tough against Green Bay. And if that's James Robinson, I'll go James Robinson. If it's Allen Robinson, I'm going Ayuk Stevenson. If it's James Robinson, I go Robinson Ayuk. Kittle or Conklin. I think you go to Kittle. I think another week under his belt, I think you go to Kittle. 1 wide receiver, 1 flex. So many of these questions. I love it. Absolutely love it. But we've got to understand these questions I'm answering on Tuesday night. These are beautiful, beautiful questions for the weekend, for the Sunday morning shows. Love that there's so many questions tonight, but I'm putting a disclaimer up there. I'm answering them now. My mind's going to change. Things are going to change this week. Weather's going to change. There could be injuries. So don't take whatever we're saying tonight and go to bed the rest of the week. I would love you all to ask these questions again. Because the start sit on a Tuesday is not the same as the start sit on a Saturday or a Sunday. 1 wide receiver, 1 flex between Amari, Cooks, Olave, Jamal. You got to play Jamal. Yeah, Amari is probably your safest. It's tough to sit Cooks and Olave. But I would say Cooper's just playing out of his mind against the Falcons. Yeah, I think you got it right. Yeah, nice job with the Colts. Keenan Allen, Dortch, Gallup, Landry. Landry probably not going to play. He's a little hurt. Maybe he will. Maybe he won't. Hopefully he does. Dylan Brees, Cook, start 1, 2 flex. Again, I'm just not trusting Gallup his first game back. Dortch keeps it going. Same with Keenan Allen. Gosh, 1 wide receiver. I'm going to go with Dortch. Out of these guys, if Keenan Allen practices in full all week, this is why it matters. This is why Tuesday is different. If you can practice in full all week, you're going with Keenan Allen. If Justin Herbert practices in full and there's no extra damage, you got to go Keenan Allen. 2 flex. I might just throw the 2 running backs in there, or go with Keenan, Dortch, Cooks. If you want to go wide receiver heavy, I'm fine with that as well. Williams, Thielen, Cooks, Juju, start 2. Is that Mike Williams? Must be. We'll see about Keenan Allen. That's why we can't answer these on a Tuesday. But I would go Mike Williams with a little bit of a bounce back regardless, and Cooks. I'm not doing that. Not against Green Bay. No. Javonte is too nice of a matchup. I'm not doing that. Richie James, Dortch, Zay Jones this week on the waiver. Dortch would be the only one I'd even consider, and you got to realize that he might not be long-term unless they move him to the slot because D-Hop will be back. So I got no love for Richie James or Zay Jones. Richie James continues to put up points, but I don't think it's going to be enough for you. Yeah, Denver's coach does suck. Danny Dimes not the edge. 100% he's not. I mean, I love that he had his legs going reminded me of his rookie year. Yeah, Kenny can't catch. Shep can't stay healthy. Jacksonville's the real. We'll see. It's 3 weeks in, but they look good. The coach was the problem last year. We all knew that. Best defensive streams this week. I don't even know. I think that Chicago, anybody playing Chicago, but it's like there's decent enough matchups where I don't even know if we need to stream this week. But Chicago, out of those three, if you're playing against Chicago, yeah, because they just refuse to throw the ball. Nice. You were at that game. Baby Santa, thank you for joining us for YouTube. Sorry it took so long to get to your question. Tons of questions here as I had to go through the rundown. Should you trade Madison for Jeff Wilson? I would not. I would use Madison this week and hope that he has a big game. It's a tough matchup in England against that tough run defense from New Orleans. But, I mean, we talked about this ad nauseum the past few seasons once people really got going with us. Madison is going to give you at minimum 85% of Dalvin Cook's production. Now, that hasn't been good the first 2 weeks. This week, Cook was good until he got knocked out. We called the Cook bounce back. The running game is going to get going for these guys. It has to help Kirk Cousins and to get Justin Jefferson back to where he was week 1 and last season. I would wait. I would have Madison play him this week if I needed to, if Cook's out, and you can get a better chip than Jeff Wilson. Right now, on paper, for the next 4 or 5 games, Jeff Wilson is more valuable than Madison because Cook could be back in 2 weeks. But I don't trust him to stay healthy. And I don't trust if they get a few of the other guys going. Mason finally got his first offensive snaps last week. Looked okay. But the first 2 games, he was just on special teams. Jeff Wilson has a knack of getting injured. I would not do that trade. I would wait. And if Madison has a good game, which he could, I would look to trade him to maybe the Cook owner first, see if he's got a little depth at running back, and then look elsewhere. His value really at this point will only go up. Madison's value can't go down unless you hear through the grapevine, we all do, that Cook is going to play this week. If Cook's going to play this week, then you might as well make the trade. But if Cook isn't going to play, which all signs on a Tuesday, once again, that's why these are tough, point to he's not, you play Madison and his value goes up, and then you trade him for a better piece, someone with more stability, more durability than Jeff Wilson. You have Eli Mitchell if it makes a difference. It does, but it doesn't. Because in my mind, I know having the handcuffs is a fine strategy, but you still only have 2 for one team. Because now when the bye week rolls around, you have 0 out of 2. I'd rather split it up. Eli also has an injury history. He was injured all the time last year. He has 0 bursts. His breakaway was bottom of the charts. We loved before week 1, before what's his face, Sermon was called out. We're like, watch out for this guy, Eli Mitchell, before week 1 last year. Knew he would be something good. He blew up. Everybody knows him. Sermon's gone. But even throughout that rookie season last year where Eli Mitchell was the toast of the town, he was hurt all the time, and he wasn't very explosive. Jeff Wilson is more explosive than Eli Mitchell. Neither one of them can stay healthy. I don't want 2 running backs on the same team that can't stay healthy. If I were you, you go with your gut, my man. But if I were you, what I'm doing is letting Madison blow up this week, and I'm trading him for something better. It doesn't have to be, you're not shooting for the stars. You're not going after Eckler, tier 1 running backs, but someone better than a Jeff Wilson is what I'm saying. You're RB2 is Singletary right now. Yeah, well, then this week I would go with Madison and Singletary. I like Singletary this week, as a matter of fact. James Robinson is less. Oh, are you just saying Eagles? I'm not sure what that is saying. Oh, verse. Okay. No, you're playing Eckler. You're playing Eckler this week against the Texans. I mean, I want you to play J. Rob, but you're playing Eckler. Yeah, pray for Florida. Yeah, it's. I got a buddy that was supposed to be going to the Tampa Bay. Well, it must be Tampa Bay Niners. Must be. He's a Niners fan. He travels all over to go watch them. It's insane. He went to the NFC Championship last year um, in Los Angeles, right? And then he went to the Super Bowl, which was also in Los Angeles. I'm not sure. But either way, he went to both of them last year. And then he went to a Dallas game when they played Dallas. But he's going. He was supposed to be going to Tampa, and I was like, I don't want to text him because he's probably freaking out. But yeah, pray for them for sure. Giants, Browns, Vikings, Colts, Bears. Okay. Um, I think out of all of those, the best defense there is the Browns, and they're playing the Falcons on the road. I would probably give them a shot. I'd probably go with the Browns. I know that Myles Garrett, right, not going to play. I'm not sure if he makes that big of a difference. I know he makes a difference, but I don't know because I feel like the Ravens could get it right. But it sounds like there's a lot of defenses out there, so you probably might be able to scoop them. Nobody's going to scoop them this week. Nobody's scooping the Ravens to play against the Bills this week. So if you drop the Ravens and you pick up the Browns, I like that a little bit better. You probably did not. You can ask again here. Cal Phillips, dump him. Get rid of him. Just get rid of him. No one's picking him up. I liked him. He ended up looking good week 1. Now he's hurt. Dump him. Nobody's picking him up. You're late because we were early, Jeremy, but it's okay. I was just sitting here twiddling my thumbs, and I was like, let's just do this. I got some TV to watch. Appreciate the tips, man. Baby Santa, I appreciate you joining us. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're trying to get all of our Facebook family to do that on YouTube. And tonight's show, all you got to do is like the video, which I don't know if you're a part of our Facebook family, Answers by Guess, on Facebook, or if you've been on Facebook, but we're on there. So you like the post, comment on the post, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Do those 3 things. We're going to put your name in a random. We're going to give away another t-shirt. I said it at the jump of the show in case you missed it. Got a bunch of comments here. We'll go through them throughout the week. Make sure we got it there. You got to like it, love it, laugh at it, cry about it, or hate it. We don't care. It's all good. And just any type of comment, you can even just say, hey, whatever, and subscribe to the YouTube. Those 3 things put you on a list for random. We're going to give away another t-shirt. We already gave away one this year, a couple of years ago. Allen, Brady Mahomes this weekend rescheduled. Ooh, really? Interesting. Did that just come out? Did I miss that? Does anybody else? Can we elaborate? Maybe I missed it. Maybe it just came out. I don't know, man. Monty's injury looked really bad. That to me, that looked like someone would keep him out the entire season. But we'll see. That's why these types of questions on Tuesday I continue to regurgitate. It's tough. I can give a quick instinctive answer, but have yet to even begin my analysis for the week. Like I go through an analysis of what I saw last week and what I'm seeing this week before we do our Sunday shows or our Saturday shows. And on Tuesday, I don't have that. I'm just giving you a quick whip. And that's why these types of questions, I can only answer them in that manner. Because if Monty is only day to day, well, then we're not playing Herbert. But if he's out, well, now we might play Herbert. Do I think Allen Lazard and Claypool can hold up this week? Well, if Allen plays this week, I'm fine with him. Lazard, Claypool makes me a little tiny bit nervous going forward until they switch, until they go to Pickett. I don't know, because we got to see if Tua's going to play. So I know that we typically talk about that game. Forgot to throw it in the thing. But if Tua plays, it's going to be back and forth. The top two quarterbacks, in my mind, I know everybody likes Herbert, but in my mind, from 2020 with Burrow and Tua, I would start Burrow on Thursday unless I have a really good matchup with a really good quarterback. I'm fine with Burrow. He's got the weapons. If Tua's playing, then I think it's a shootout. If Tua's not playing, then we look at our other option. So, like, if you just want me to talk about that game real quick, the Miami secondary is, you got Tua and Burrow. Okay, so if Tua's not going to play, you got to play Burrow anyway. So it doesn't really matter. But I'm fine. We liked Boyd a lot last week. I said on the Sunday show, I said I got a feeling Boyd's probably going to be the best wide receiver. It was just a guess, and that's what we do. We go off of our feelings. We go with our gut because our gut never leads us wrong. Sometimes, but I just had a feeling, and I kind of feel like Chase, Higgins. Higgins was a little disappointing last week, but the three of them could cause some problems for the Miami secondary. Miami was just playing out of their mind against Buffalo, and it's hard to get so up for a game like that, turn around on a short week, and stay at that level. Then you've got Cincy, who finally got the win. Finally feel like we can get something rolling here. It could be a storm even if Tua does play. So I feel like Cincinnati's going to win this game, in all honesty, just because Miami had to get so high and got so high to win that game in Buffalo. It's tough to come back 4 days later and play at that level again. And meanwhile, Burrow and the Bengals are coming off of their win, right? They're at home. And now they're going to welcome the last undefeated team in the AFC. And I think that the Bengals are going to win this game. And I believe Vegas thinks the same thing. I think they're the favorites. So I like Burrow quite a bit. The over-under probably is somewhere above 45, which is good for both offenses. Score somewhere both in the mid-20s. I'm fine with Waddle and Burrow. Burrow for sure. And Waddle if Tua goes, without a doubt. I did not hear the Gronk rumors. Could somebody please elaborate on the Gronk rumors and on the rescheduling of this game? Is that true? Did they reschedule this game? All right, you need to get Renfrow out of your IR. Do I drop him or someone else? I kind of want to drop two. I'm going to grab Madison and Njoku. There's E for a different. Yeah, I would. Green Bay, Dallas. Yeah, leave Pitt alone. You don't want anything to do with Pitt when Watt's out. So Green Bay and Dallas, yeah, I'm fine with them, especially Green Bay this week. So, Antonio, if you're still watching, if Green Bay's out there this week with no Mac Jones, and if it's Brian Hoyer, I kind of like that Green Bay defense. Dallas as well. The other wide receivers, Waddle, Debo, Thomas, Cooks. Yeah, so you really don't even need Renfrow. If you have to drop them, you drop them. You could use the running back help. Problem is, Madison isn't going to last very long as a help for you unless Cook keeps getting hurt again. But, yeah, I'm fine with dropping Renfrow if you have to, and I'm fine dropping the Bears D and picking up Green Bay, without a doubt. Yeah, probably. He's more of a possession guy. Waddle's more of a deep down speed guy. Could help the quarterback, but it all depends. Let's see. Ask the question in the group Thursday morning. We'll see if Tua's playing. I kind of feel like they're throwing the head and the back and the ankle injuries of Tua out there just in case somebody gets mad about them thinking he had a concussion. But we'll see. He sure didn't look hurt to me. Not like Mac Jones. So as of right now, that's not a terrible play. But if Tua plays, you got to play Waddle. Cincinnati defense is still lackluster, and I think it's going to be a shootout. And I'd like to have both sides of it. I'd like to that way. No matter who has the ball, I can root for some points. All right, so we're down to 2 viewers. It's good. 40 minutes, and it's 9:11. Make a wish. Again, Thursday night game. I feel like if Tua plays, it's going to be a shootout. I think the Bengals win. I'm fine playing all 3 of their wide receivers and Mixon, of course. And it's the 2 guys. It's the only 2 guys in Miami. You can't use their running backs unless your running backs are David Montgomery and Dalvin Cook, and you don't get Herbert or Madison on waivers. There's no reason to be playing Chase Edmonds or Mostert, not at all, even against the banged up, underperforming Cincinnati Bengals defense. I think the Bengals win. I'm going to say 30-23. 30-23 Bengals. I think they punch him in the mouth early. Tua plays. Miami comes back strong, 23-23, and Burrow gets a touchdown in the final 5 minutes, take the lead, and then the defense holds them. We'll see how it plays out. Would you drop anyone else? Grab Madison. I don't want to drop Smith. Let's go back to your team. Watch. I don't know. It's tough because you don't want to give away any of your RB depth. I'm fine not having Michael Thomas, to be honest. I like him. He looked good. He got hurt last week. But you got Waddle, Deebo, Cooks, Devonta, Dubs is shooting up there now with Watkins out. Because otherwise it's Nyheim Hines to me or Algier. I mean, flip a coin with those guys. You're not. Are you going to use Madison this week? I don't even think so. I think you're going to use CMC and Javonte. Hunt. I don't know. I probably would. I'd rather just stay with what I have, to be honest. There you go. That's what you do. You trade him for James Robinson or Chase Edmonds. I would go Robinson. And a piece of me is getting a little nervous with James Robinson before we close out the show, just because, and I love him. Remember, he's my baby. I gave birth to him. It's coming off the Achilles, and they're using him so much. I'm praying and grasping my fingers so tight that he doesn't re-injure himself. He's, as of right now, a lot of people are saying it's going to be Michael Thomas. James Robinson's a comeback player of the year at this point in my mind, by far. It's only week 3, but we're not really 20% of the fantasy season, basically. But I would do it for James Robinson. And then I wouldn't even worry about Madison. You got enough depth. Any other questions? All right. Well, like I said, Rob and I discussed. Thank you, Chad. Thank you. Rob and I discussed, since it's 9 a.m. London game, England game. Is it in London? Don't even know. It's in England. It's 9 a.m. We're not going to do a show at 9, 10, or 11. There's football being played. We're going to watch it. And I expect all of you, if able, to be doing the same. So we're probably going to do a Saturday night show. We just have to figure out how and when. Rob's got a busy schedule, a lot of things going on, as do I. Him more than me. But we need the both of us because that's Answers by Guests. This is just Answers with Guests. So stay tuned for the updates in the group. Saturday night, and it's going to be the old school long show where we go through all the games and we take some questions. We go through the games, we take some questions, old school. And it won't be like that ever again until there's another early Sunday morning, because I think you all like having the recorded games, and Rob and I like having the recorded games. So that way Sunday morning we can just jump right into your questions. So stay tuned. Thank you for joining us tonight. Like, comment on this post, on this video, please, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Do all three things. Put your name in the random, and we'll draw a winner for a free t-shirt. We'll ship it to you free of charge. And good luck with that. Thank you all for joining us. One more question. He could. Yeah. I had mentioned, Marty, I'm not sure if you were with us at the time. I said, we gave such grief to Matt Nagy and the Bears in general and Justin Fields last year for A-Rob. And I said, could it be that Allen Robinson just sucks? That he just stinks, and that's him. And it was never them. I mean, it's still Fields, but it was never really as bad of their fault as it was A-Rob's. Is Skoranek going to pass him? Not sure. They gave a lot of money to Allen Robinson, so they're going to want to try and get that money's worth. But if they continue to struggle and end up losing games, it's not out of the question. They don't really play the same type of wide receiver position, but it might be something more along the lines if Van Jefferson ever comes back. Could Van Jefferson surpass Allen Robinson? So we'll just have to stay tuned. But he keeps dropping the ball. He might have to just go hang out with Kenny Galladay, Sammy Watkins, and Sterling Shepard, and the wide receiver friends of old, because they all are stinking it up. But luckily and hopefully you are not. We are not. I had a good week, 5-1. Hopefully you all had a good week last week as well. And hopefully you have an even better one this week. Thank you all for joining me. Stay tuned to the page to find out where our week 4 show, when it's going to happen. Remember, like this video, comment on the video, subscribe to the YouTube. We will put your name on a list. We will random the list. You will get a chance at a free t-shirt. Great words to leave on. Sit down, old man. I'm going to go lay down. This old man's going to go lay down. Watch me some Dahmer. If you haven't checked it out, if you don't like serial killer, true story drama, if you like it, I advise it. It's good so far. I'm on episode 4. Peace, everybody. Good night. Best of luck this week. See you this weekend.